Well, thank you so much. What a beautiful turnout of people to the second in our series, our Eldership series. Yesterday, we had the great joy of interviewing Jarap and Jimpa and really hearing it as it is to be an elder with 83 children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Wow.
Wow is right. And beyond that, to really be an elder in our community. So our friend Jarap and Jimpa is amazing, and he talks and talks, and so there was something there for everybody, and I hope that you'll all pop over to our SoulAdvisor YouTube and listen to that. But today, we've got the great pleasure of welcoming Nancy Parker, who's the founder and the owner and the chief garbage collector at Shell Essences, and has given many years to it. Welcome, Nancy. And before we start, I'd just like to acknowledge country, and then I'll bring you on, if I may.
Sure.
So I invite everybody who wants to close their eyes for just a few moments and to actually be present. To feel like your body just gave a big sigh out and that you're here in community to discuss something that is really a fascinating story with Nancy today. And I'd like to, before we start, acknowledge the country that I'm on today, which is Yuin country, and acknowledge all the country that you are on, and to acknowledge all the elders that have walked here before us, all the communities that have passed this way before and taken such beautiful care of this country. And I'd like to make the hope that through our listening into each other as elders in this community, and for having Nancy here today, who's deeply connected to the seashore and deeply connected to country, therefore, that all these discussions really help us build up more of a connection to country wherever we are, and allow us to bring more healing into this planet, to ourselves, to our communities, and to this planet. And thank you. Welcome. Welcome, Nancy. I'd just like to say that it was a sheer pleasure meeting you and your partner Ken the other day, and I was delighted to have done that before we had this time together now, because I have a much greater feeling for all that you've done, and it's quite overwhelming.
Oh, okay.
So Nancy, where are you coming to us from today?
What do you mean by where?
Whereabouts in the world are you, so that everybody can...
Whereabouts in the world? Sorry, I'm in Sydney at Janelli.
Sydney.
Is that what you want?
Yes. What I want.
But part of me, of course, is somewhere else also.
Isn't that the truth? Nancy, we've been lucky enough to have Nancy join the SoulAdvisor community just really recently, and I became aware of Nancy's work when talking to lots of different people. So I got the feeling that quite a few people have been involved with Shell Essences for a while, but you yourself, Nancy, established Shell Essences in 1991. Was that right?
I don't even remember when it was, but it was a long time ago.
And where did it come to you from? Like how does somebody come to be so passionate about shells?
I had a repetitive dream from early childhood right up to when I started Shell Essences in my 50s or something, I don't know. And the dream was always the same. I was this little girl walking along the beach, picking up shells, sometimes walking out when the tide was out, and picking shells from little puddles of water, putting them into my child's apron, walking back to the shore, and then the dream would end. I had no idea any more than that, but it was the same dream night after night, week after week, year after year. And I realized there was something I had to do with shells. And I tried many things. I tried making them into jewelry. I couldn't do it. I could do crystals, but not shells. I tried photographing. I tried painting them. I tried sculpting them, but everything was like, oh my God, the shell is so much nicer than what I'm doing. And then I did kinesiology. I was an occupational therapist. And then I did kinesiology, and the woman teaching us kinesiology said, oh, she was putting shells on people's bodies to move energy. And she said, oh, shells are very powerful. They'd make great essences. I thought, that's what it's about, essences. So then I had to learn how to make essences and without damaging the shells in any way. So I just looked at how the flower essences were made and decided to make them similar way to the flower essences. And so I usually make them at the mangroves these days. Used to start off on the beach. Yep.
What do you mean you make them at the mangroves?
I make the vibrational essence on the mangroves. I have to sit there on a rock in silence, and nobody comes around there. And the shell goes into a glass bowl, and the glass bowl sits in another glass bowl of water, not tap water or anything like that. And then it takes about an hour, and then I write down everything that I'm told that this shell is going to be for. And after about an hour or so, that's it. Then I go back to my office, and then I have to put brandy in with it to hold the vibration in it. And then I send it out in stock to my guinea pigs, as I call them, these lovely ladies who have said that, and men who have said they'd like to trial them and tell me the information they get from them.
Wow.
And then I write a newsletter about them.
And it's been, those newsletters are amazing. You know, they really take you on a journey of each shell's essence. And and so different, each of them. I've been lucky enough to be taking this one of Nancy's essences.
Oh, okay, Trochus shell.
Trochus
Right.
shell. So I don't know if you know whether you'd be able to speak a little bit about what Trochus shell is for.
No, probably not.
I can definitely say what you've written.
Okay, you can say what I've written.
Okay, let me just.
There's there's 40 single shells, there's 60 coral shells, and there's about 45 of the new energy shells. So, you know, the earlier ones, like the Trochus shell, I have to look up to remember them. Yeah. But usually when I choose them for people, my eyes just go onto the bottle, and I don't know what it is until I pick it up. And I just do wherever my eyes go to and land on that bottle. That's the one that person needs. Oh, they need that one. Oh, that one too.
So I'm just reading what you've written about Trochus shell, which is quite beautiful. The Trochus shell reminds us of our connection with Mother Earth, Mother Nature, and all that is, and how vital these connections are to us. Perhaps we will understand why we feel so calm and peaceful when we are in nature, and how incredibly important it is to protect the nature of our evolving planet. We are now immersing ourselves in our actual reality, and Trochus shell is helping us reconnect to this energy, wherein lays the wisdom that has been created and needs to be acknowledged. So, as you might imagine, that was quite fitting for my current state of working at Nangwale Aboriginal. It's exactly what I'm doing, and it fortifies me a lot. And so my mother, who is also using them, said that she feels like she can retain information considerably better. And as a daughter, she's become incredibly more loving in the last few weeks.
Oh, that's lovely.
My father, have just started on them, has had bad dreams for 15 years, and there's been several nights when he says he hasn't dreamt. So I'm just spruiking you, not because I'm selling your product, but because I really think that the essence of being an elder is like, there's so many different experiences that come together to keep evolving and creating what you're offering to the world. And it has to go through you. And that's can be really painful or really lovely or really whatever it is. And so there's a lot of component parts, isn't there, in being a really wise elder and being able to bring that kind of wisdom into a little bottle. So you said you were an occupational therapist. Was that your first profession?
That was my first profession when OT first came to Australia a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been in the 60s, would it?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Or the 50s, I'm not sure now. Dates are not my thing. Numbers are not my thing in any way. Yeah, but I just saw a brochure about it when I was at school, in high school, in primary and secondary school, and I thought, oh, this is what I want to do. And then my mother said, no, girls do nursing or something else. She said they do not do things like that. So they wouldn't pay for me. So then I had to get a Commonwealth scholarship, which in those days you could. So I just made sure I got very high marks for all my subjects at school so I could get a Commonwealth scholarship. That paid for me to do OT and paid for me to be able to live in Melbourne.
Wow. And did you love it when you got there?
Yes, I did. I did.
Mm.
Much more than Sydney, actually.
It must have been fun to be away from home.
Yeah, it was actually. And yeah, and living with other people my own age. And yeah, we all got on well together. And every year we'd go to a different suburb to live and a different place to live in and a different job. So for the first 8 years, I just travelled all through Melbourne.
Really? Wow. Okay. And did you enjoy the actual doing of occupational therapy, looking after people and change?
Oh, yes, definitely. I used to do art therapy and speech therapy and singing and a whole lot of things. It was wonderful. I loved it. It was great.
That sounds like such a creative process.
It was. It wasn't so much, these days it's a lot of university, but in those days it wasn't. We had to do medicine and we had to do that with the people who were going to be doctors. We had to do the same course as them. But apart from that, it was fun.
It's an interesting thing as an occupational therapist also to know what a pathway that particular profession and many of the other healing and wellness professions around us, or that we've all practiced, have gone on, because it was an incredibly creative thing. It was diversional therapy mixed with psychology, mixed with medicine, etc. And it's up to you to bring your creative potential to the fore. But by the time I did it 20 years after you, it was much more, they'd tallied it down, they'd taken all the diversional crafty bits out really, and it was just a sorrow, really. It lost a lot of its essence. And I think from what I understand it, it's still got something there, but it's just a smaller version. I know that's true of naturopathy, and I'd love to hear from anybody else out there if that's been true of any of their professions, shrinking rather than growing in their breadth.
I'm amazed that you were an OT. My daughter-in-law is an OT. My granddaughter wants to be an OT.
Yeah. It was a very beautiful profession, and still is, It's really taking people back to their sense of wholeness and who they are.
Yes, and creativity.
Yeah.
I think it was Einstein who said, knowledge will take you from A to B, creativity takes you everywhere.
I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know what you think, but I also think that one of the qualities of eldership is that creative capacity, because as an elder, as you have more and more experiences, and so you are able to encompass more and more realities within your environment. You start to make the connection points, don't you? And you start to understand, oh, this is needed. So when it comes to dealing with humans and you're thinking, well, how can I best help? Then you start to put it all together and come up with a solution. Yeah.
Yes,
so
yes.
I wonder if you felt like that's what you've done. Like, why did you go from occupational therapy to kinesiology, or did you do both at the same time?
Oh, I did a lot of things. I did Reiki, I did shiatsu, I was very interested in natural therapies. And but I was still searching, I think, for something to do with shells. And it wasn't until I found kinesiology and this lady said, oh, they'd make good essences. And I thought, after all these tries of doing creative things with shells, nothing felt right.
So that sense of just being in the right place, and you've really developed your own culture around shell essences, as far as I can tell. You seem to have a lot of people that you have used shell essences along the way, for example.
Yes, and when Leonie, my business partner at that time, was with me, we travelled around the world. We taught in England, Scotland, Ireland, Hong Kong, Denmark, Norway.
Wow. Was that using, did you use local shells to talk about things when you were there, or what did you do?
No, but the shells always come to me. They come from all over. The latest essence I've made was from mussel shells that came from Norway. They were sent to me by a guy from Norway.
Wow.
Who had bought a lot of shell essences. And when I rang him to connect with him, he said, oh, I'm just walking on the beach now. I can't talk to you. And I said, oh, just have a look and see if there's any shells that want to be essences. So he sent me these blue mussel shells, a whole lot of them. And that's the latest essence. 3 of them wanted to be an essence.
Oh, really? And what is a blue mussel shell? Just a little mussel shell, or?
It's these. Can you see?
Oh, wow. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes. So I have shells. People send me shells from all over. I've got shells from all different countries and wherever. When somebody says this shell wants to be an essence, it told me it wants to be an essence, I'm posting it to you.
Yeah. Well, that's just a beautiful thing, isn't it? To actually have a shell reach up and touch you on the ankle.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what was the main message from that shell? Or how did you?
It was love, happiness, and peace. But it said the most important thing is peace. And that is what we want to spread through the world, is peace. That was their message.
How beautiful at this time. Couldn't be more important.
Yes.
So what for you has changed in the way that you operate in the last, well, how many years have you been doing it? If it was 1991, that's 20, oh,
I don't know, don't ask me.
30 years, I think. 30
Probably.
So what's changed in the way that you work with the shells in that period?
Well, the energy has changed. We've got higher vibrational energy contacting the planet now. And apparently there's a magnetic grid or a crystalline grid that goes around the planet, and we're all connected to it. And this is higher vibrational energy. So the first essences were very much to do with physical problems. And then the corals were to do with your shadow side, things that you don't want to know about and see, but that are sort of affecting you. But these new ones are for the new higher vibrational energies of our past, what's our future, the higher vibrations of love, compassion, peace. And it's more to do with feminine energies, whereas the older ones was much more masculine energies. But these newer ones, they say, are much more the feminine energies of love, peace, compassion, caring. So it's much more higher vibration.
And that must be beautiful for you to bring through.
It's lovely. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And I just do what I'm told. I'm told what to write. I don't even know what I'm writing until I finish the paragraph or something, and then I read it and think, oh, okay, right. So it's all, whatever you'd call it. Yeah.
As we've spoken about yesterday, the ultimate elder is the earth and the skies.
Mother Nature.
Yeah, Mother Nature is the ultimate elder. And so, it's our job to get out of the way and allow that energy to walk on through.
Yes. And the essence I made, not the last one, not the one before that, was Mother Nature. That's what I was told. I said, what am I making this from? I haven't got anything here to make it from. And I was sitting down at the mangroves and I was told, you're making it from Mother Nature. And this is what Mother Nature wants to tell you. And I just wrote it down.
Wow. Okay. How beautiful.
Yes, it was beautiful. Absolutely.
Very direct. Tanya Sloan, who's in our community, she's one of our team. She's been asking me a few different questions to ask you here.
Okay.
Tanya, feel free to ask yourself too. It might be more interesting than hearing my voice all the time. Would you like to ask?
You just put me on the spot. I have so many questions because I've been studying essences since 2012 under Jackie Bushell and then again with Wendy Forbes. And so, but I haven't delved into shell essences. So I have a whole stack of questions.
Okay.
I'm interested in any stories or around your essence making and the messengers that blew you away, like that really shifted your understanding of being into another way of being. And like which ones were the ones that it shifted that for you?
I really couldn't say. All the newer ones are much more connected with the newer higher vibration. Oh, that's my phone. Oh, God.
I'm just interrupting to say that Nancy's the busiest woman in the world. When I visited, the phone didn't stop, and I feel like what you're doing on the planet is so important right now. And as soon as your phone stops, then we'll come back to you.
I'm sorry about that. Yes.
No, it's just.
I suppose I should turn it off. But anyway, they leave me messages, and then I can ring them back later. And because a lot of people want to have personal blends made for them, and yeah, which I can do, or know what essence they need to take.
And so it is. So I think we were saying in that grouping of elders that got together on Monday that it's not easy being an elder because you're in pretty continual demand. It's like the process of being in a giving state of mind or being. Sorry, would you mind asking that one more time, Tanya?
Yeah, I was looking to which essences like really shifted your being from one state. Like I know they all shift and they have all their gifts, but I have found that there's some that just blow you away, and the insights from them, they just take you into another stratosphere. And I was just wondering, do you have any stories or anecdotes around your experiences that really surprised you or helped you transform in a way that it was unexpected, or their message was unexpected?
I really don't know. It's different for every single person who takes the essences. And yeah, I can't say that any one of them. Each one that I make, I think, oh, yes, yes, yes. And because I'm so into nature, Mother Nature was an important one for me. And I mean, there's two essences that come from Hawaii, from the ocean, the deep oceans at Hawaii. They spoke to me very much. And Starlight, another one called Starlight. And that was another time when I sat there with an empty bowl thinking, what am I going to, I need something to make this from. What am I going to make it from? And I was told, look up, you're making it from the stars, it's starlight. So there's a lot of things that the first book that I wrote, which is Messages from Shells, it gives the stories from different people who've used each of the first 40 essences and what it did for them and what it meant for them. So, yeah. But what changed me actually was a course I did before I started making shell essences, and it might have pushed me onto that. And it was a course that made you do all things that I never would have thought possible, like doing a fire walk. And I completely thought that was impossible. I had burnt my bottoms of my feet as a small child and been hospitalised. And then when I found out that everyone had to do this fire walk, walking for 5 steps over burning coals, I thought it's impossible, you can't do this. And then this beautiful feeling came over me. Yes, you can do this. And I walked over them, couldn't feel the heat, couldn't feel any burning. And I think that's the main thing that changed my life, because I thought, gosh, if I can do that, what else could I do? And I saw that everybody else did it also. We are beings way beyond what we believed we were. And that might have put me onto the track of making essences from shells instead of thinking, oh no, that's impossible.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah. So I can't tell you one particular shell for me, because everybody has their own stories, but I can't, because I make them. When they tell me what they're for, and they're quite I won't say bossy, but I wanted to call them Australian shell essences, and they refused. They said, no, shells are washed up on all beaches around the world. They are not just Australian. Oh, okay, all right.
You know,
yeah.
Yesterday, Nancy, when we were talking to Jarup and Jimpa, he sang us a song about shells, mollusks, and the way that they attach to big sea creatures and then travel across sea country and then come back and then die on land.
Yeah.
Their spirits go back to the land. And he talked about shells performing a really important role in the joining of song lines across oceans and across the land.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably do. They have one of the oldest DNA that has ever been recorded. And the shells that we're finding today, like, you know, the, what do you call those spiral shells? They have the same, they're identical to ones that are found that are millions of years old. So it's really interesting. They've held this information for us for a long, long time.
It's, you know, and it feels very much like the storylines coming through, doesn't it? You know, and you've been given that gift, as Joe Doyle is saying to us here in the chat, given that gift to then pass on. And I wonder, it being the month of gratitude, because we're in December and SoulAdvisor is totally focused on gratitude. And I know, speaking personally, I'm so grateful that you've had 30 years of this to share with us all.
I'm extremely grateful.
But I wonder, who do you give gratitude to when you think about your teachers in the healing arts? And is it humans? Is it non-humans? How do you give gratitude, or where do you give gratitude?
These days, I give gratitude to what I call my guides, the Pleiadians, and Jesus, not the Jesus from the Bible, not from a religion, but the Jesus I apparently knew when he was teaching. And apparently I was a child, a young boy, who used to write on manuscripts everything he had said, he was saying as he was teaching. And then we would hide it in what we thought was a safe house. But then apparently there was a Pharisee in the group who found out where they were hidden, where all this stuff was hidden, and burnt it all. And so Jesus said, you know, every year, from every lifetime from then on, you've been trying to rewrite this stuff, and now is the only safe time you can do it. So anyway, this is all from my writing down. This doesn't come, I don't know.
That's a beautiful, intuitive story. And like all stories, it's got so many aspects to it, doesn't it?
Yes, yes.
So I feel like that that story is a message for all of us right now, in terms of bringing back the healing arts and bringing back the traditional and complementary therapies. And when we came together again on Monday with all the elders, the theme really was that it's about coming back, isn't it? It's about re-understanding our greatness and our connection and our incredible place in this universe. Yeah,
there's so much, I believe, that we have lost over the centuries. Where we used to have so much more knowledge and intuition as wise people, as wise women. And a lot of that has been lost, and we're just rediscovering it.
Why do you think we lost it?
I think because the women were the wise women, were the wise people who held the energy of it. And I think women were not thought of over the last centuries, I suppose. Women were not thought of being of any value, and everything that they said had to be just wiped. And so it's only now that we're sort of realizing that there were wise women that, the Pleiadians were taught by the women in Lemuria were taught by the Pleiadian mothers who came from the Pleiades, who taught them. And then they were told, you know, you're going to be women in many lifetimes in different countries, and you're going to spread this knowledge that we have given you. So it's interesting. Yeah.
What did you call them? Women of the Murray?
Lemuria.
Lemuria.
Lemuria, which is Hawaii.
Right.
Which was a place in Hawaii. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. It's just, you know, it's really gorgeous knowledge and worth exploring on whatever level we wish to explore it, isn't it?
Yes.
For me, the proof was in the pudding of having these little drops.
Yes.
And you've written the book that you were referring to, which is up in Sydney, but you've also written this book.
Following the Light, yes.
And what was this all about?
That was about just spiritual sort of stuff. People have it beside their bed at night and they just open it. And, and whatever they read on that page is something that's important to them that they need to know or, do something with. And the second one I wrote was Arise and Shine.
That one?
That's one, that's right. And I was going to write that the same way. And then I got this message in my head from Wayne Dwyer, who was already passed on. And he said, do not write this book the same as the other one. This time you must write it in chapters and put headings under the chapters. I said, all right, I'll do that.
Well, he was a great communicator. You heard it from the best.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Really.
I know. So I just get a whole lot of information about what to do until I try not to use my ego self that'll say, oh, you must do this, you must do that. No way. I just listen and ask my innate self for my guidance, my Pleiadian helpers.
Beautiful. And who created this beautiful artwork behind you?
Me.
Did you? Really?
One of my many, I used to do many craft works. And that was, printing and wax, using wax.
Beautiful. Can you turn your head a little to the right or left so we can see that image? So beautiful. Wow. It's magic to watch. Having grown up on the coastline and collecting shells from a young child, I'm so enthusiastic about shells. I found the most perfect little fan shell, a little bright orange one, you know, when you find those
yes.
Magic indeed. I wonder if anybody's got any questions or comments for Nancy while we're audience participation. Welcome.
Me.
Yes, who's that?
It's Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, darling. I'm just going to put my unblock my screen again because I'm driving. Okay, so hang on a sec. So my question is, I've been spending a bit of time up at Anna Bay, north of Newcastle, and then there's this tiny little beach. It's this tiny cove, like might even be 50 meters wide, if that. And dare I use the word common or popular shells that you, everyday shells that you see, the size of them in this cove are massive compared to what I've seen throughout my whole life. The same shells in this particular cove are huge, and there are thousands and thousands of them. Do you have any explanation for that?
I think shells are like people. You know, we all come in different sizes. And the shells grow. The older they are, often the bigger they grow, because they grow a little bit more each year, another layer is put on them. So, I
never knew they grew. I just thought they grew with animals inside them, and then the animals lived on and the shells stopped growing.
They possibly do then. I'm not sure. Yeah, because the creature inside them stays for a long time, and it keeps, replacing the shells, creating the shell all the time. And like the Nautilus that have this curly staircase within them, that Leonardo da Vinci apparently created circular staircases from the circles inside those shells, the Nautilus shells, because they're very old. Yep.
Is there a reason why why so many shells would be washed up on this tiny little beach as opposed to the massive 7-mile beach next door?
I don't know. Often when there's a lot of rocks around, the shells love to hide under the rocks and onto the rocks. And but sometimes they're just washed up on purpose. When I was in Scotland, at the very end of Scotland, I've got a very, very tiny shell that I was walking on the beach, and this man said to me, "Oh, you know, there's a shell here that's found nowhere else in the world." And he said, "There's one and there's another one, and you probably see no more." And one of those I took back and made an essence from it. And it was a very tiny shell. But somebody else sent me a huge, big shell that was dredged up from the sea from someone who was trying to dredge things up. And it was Queen helmet conch. It is huge and so heavy. And he said, "I'm going to send it to you," because I said, "There's one shell in that picture that wants to be an essence." And I said, "It's that one there." He said, "It is huge and it is very heavy." I said, oh, just wait and I'll come to Queensland one day and I'll get it from you. He said, no, I'm posting it to you. So he did. And that's Queen helmet conch, it's called. It's very, very big shell, huge.
Mm.
And the other one is so tiny. It's just the tiniest little shell that came from Scotland.
And I know somewhere I read on your website, you talked about the crystalline structure of the calcium in shells.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Calcium carbonate, they're called, but yeah.
It's
interesting. They've the fact that they've been around far longer than humans have.
What our bones are made of too, isn't it? Calcium carbonate.
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah. So it's pretty deep medicine, really. Yeah. And I can't, the beauty of shells, like when you look inside a shell and why are they so?
I know. And that's what fascinated me as a child.
How does that incredible sheen on the inside of a mussel that looks like, here comes sunset, or that incredible range of pinks and reds and oranges and yellows and fan shells, and I'm very interested. Oh, Martine's got her hand up and I didn't see. I do apologize, Martine.
Thank you. I was just wondering, Nancy, have you made essences from poisonous shells? Some are exquisitely beautiful, but they are highly dangerous to human. Like if you step on them, you can have a very strong dose of poison. Have you made essences from those?
Quite possibly I have, because it's the creature within the shell, not the outside coating that's poisonous. But people always ask me, if I'm allergic to shells, I'm allergic to seafood, something, can I still use shell essences? Yes. It's vibrational. It's not. It's nothing that goes through your energy. Sorry, nothing that goes through your digestive system. So yeah, there may have been poisonous creatures living in some of them, but no longer. I don't pick up any shell that's got something living with it. Even if it's a little crab using it for a house, no way would I take his house. I always know, and I always ask the shell if it wants to be in essence. If it says no, I put it back. So yeah.
It's to me, it feels so much more sustainable than taking crystals from the crystalline grid of the earth, because you have to actually, unless it's sitting there for you, then you have to chisel it out of the wall cave, or so I feel like letting people know about shell essences as an alternative to crystals would be amazing.
Well, I don't think it's an alternative to anything. I just think everything works together. When I started making them, I thought, there was these wonderful flower essences. Dr. Bach, who made the first flower essences and everything. And then I was told, no, you need to make shell essences and you don't copy the other ones, because what they're doing is fine. They do a really good job, but there are things that they, as they said, fell through the cracks. And these are the things that you need to use to make those essences. So that's why they're connected with the other energies in the sky, with the planets and with the astrology, and they work with us with people's astrology and things that the other essences don't do. So they said, and also they told me a whole lot of things initially. They said, you know, you don't realize that you're carrying other people's energy with you, and there's nothing you can do about it because you don't have the cause of it. You're just carrying the pain of it. So the first shell essences were to release all that, so you were yourself again, and you only carry your own stuff that you can then release, but nobody else's. So yeah.
It's an interesting parallel to my own profession of Japanese yoga, because we used to be macroneurotic, macrobiotic, you know, and Martine, you'll remember those days too, or perhaps some of you others out there will remember the macroneurotic days when we were only allowed to eat grain and miso soup, and things that were salty fruit were off the agenda. You know, it had to be cooked in a certain way, and it was very, very harsh, I guess. But as the energy on this planet's evolved, now we're really encouraged to eat a lot of greens and things that pick straight from the ground, and fruit in summer, and it's a lightening of the energy structure. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else out there is feeling that from their professional angles. Maybe not.
No, I just look at everything in nature and I think the beautiful colors, the patterns, the shapes, it's just amazing. And the animals, I'm thinking, how would it get that particular colors on it in that pattern? Where does this come from? It's just so, everything is, nature to me is just so beautiful. And when I want some healing or something, I just take my essence and I go into the bush and sit under a tree or something, or with my back against a tree, or people call me a tree hugger. That's okay, I don't mind.
Do you know, Nancy, now there's forest therapy, who we also have on SoulAdvisor, forest therapists, and
lovely.
It's now a whole profession, tree hugging, you know, like it's about being in the presence of trees and how very, very healing they are, and in so many ways, energetically, in terms of all the phenomes that come from them, in terms of being barefoot. The whole concept of actually being with a tree is people pay for that now.
Good. Oh, I've learned so much from trees, how all different trees could all be together, and none of them sort of pushed the others away or did anything. They accepted each other in the bush, and I thought it was beautiful. We should learn so much.
And what's your biggest hope, do you think, for where shell essences may go to or keep going to?
I hope that I will find someone who will buy shell essences, a younger person than me, who will take it to, you know, more than I am able to do, so that it continues on and grows and grows. And I mean, I wouldn't have believed when I first made it that, you know, the newsletters we email out to over 2,000 people, and I write, when I post out the newsletters to 530 people who want it posted, not emailed, and it just grows all the time. And it's fine, it's good.
That's so beautiful. So do you feel that there's any people younger than yourself who are up and coming, who you're nurturing through the process of moving into your business?
I don't know at this stage. I hope they'll just come and tell me. And our spirit will just, when it's the right time, I know that spirit will just move these people in the right direction to me and tell me, and I just carry on until this happens.
Beautiful. It's again another really wonderful principle of eldership, isn't it? I think
I think it is. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I know there'll be a right person who'll come along, and Great. I'll be very happy.
Yes, it'd be sad if they didn't. So I think they will.
I'm sure they will.
Girls
I'm
will
sure
also-
they will. Yes.
And hopefully more than one.
Yes. Yes. I used to have a lot of people teaching shell essences all in different countries around the world. And for some reason, it just stopped. Yeah, I don't know why.
Well, I hope you'll travel one more time with us to Cambodia and come and do a masterclass, and maybe that's where the person will come from.
Yes, that sounds great, Cambodia. I've never been there.
Ah, well, it is great. We're very, very excited about going there, actually. It's going to be a real hub for traditional and complementary and integrated health therapists to come together and powwow and do great stuff. Yeah.
So why Cambodia?
Well, I might just ask Deb to talk to that if Deb is still with us. Let me see. Oh, Deb isn't with us. Okay, I'll talk to that. So Deb and I went over to Cambodia. The founder of SoulAdvisor has established the biggest wellness center in Southeast Asia there, which opened on February the 14th. And it's not like a spa center, although it has 3 floors of spa and wellness offerings. It's much more than that. It's a conceptualization of bringing the traditional and complementary therapies together to powwow, I guess, to do think tank conferences, but also bringing all the elders in our community, I guess, there to run classes and help other people learn a little bit more about what they do out in the world, and to master classes and trainings, etc., etc. But yeah, we're asking all our therapists over there to have a working holiday, basically. Yeah, so
It's good. Yes.
Well, we'll invite the world and you can come.
Yes. Yes.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Now, does anybody else want to ask any questions of Nancy? You've done well, Merv, over there with your 3-year-old grandchild.
He's just over here. I have one eye on him and one eye on the other. I do, and here he comes now that you've mentioned it. Thank you. So I do have a question of Nancy. The gentleman yesterday talked about just going and putting your feet in the water and feeling the water. Is there something to putting your feet in the sand? Is there something similar to that?
I think so. That's why I sometimes get told, just walk in the sand. Hello. And when I go to bed at night, I imagine that I'm lying on the beach in Lemuria in Hawaii, and my feet are in the water. I'm lying in the sand, my feet are in the water, and the water is splashing over my feet. And that's how I go to sleep nearly every night.
You know, Merv or Nancy or anybody else here, has anybody ever seen that incredible microscopic blow up of the grains of sand?
No.
Oh, it's so precious, isn't it, Merv? It's just like it's like looking into a pirate's treasure chest, you know.
Wow.
It's just all these incredible little histories of the earth, all these corals and stones and minerals and crystals.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, really, really beautiful.
That's lovely. Yeah, yeah.
Privilege of walking on country.
Yes.
Oh, we on that tiny note, and hopefully I'll reach out to you again, Nancy, to do a little bit of a recording with us. But our community SoulAdvisor is championing something called Go Barefoot on Belonging Day on January the 26th, which is encouraging everyone to take their shoes off and go and connect with nature, Mother Nature out there, as a way of expressing belonging and as a way of really paying deep respect to country and culture in this country, because January the 26th is a tricky day for some and a great day for others. So we're trying to do something that actually brings us all together. And it's been put forward by Jarapan Jimpa, our resident elder, who you met yesterday, Merv, but also Kurt Melly, who's from a Torres Strait Islander man. And it's a beautiful.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So what was it, January the?
January 26th, Australia Day.
26th. Oh, Australia Day. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll reach out to you and you can talk about being on the seashore.
I will be, actually. Yes, that's great.
What's that little poem? She sells seashells on the seashore.
Seashore. Yes. Seashore. I can't remember now. On the seashore. Yeah.
Well,
was looking for, I had a poem here that I was going to read, but I can't find it now, so mustn't be meant to read it. Yeah,
oh, please have a look. We'd love a poem if you've got one.
yeah. Ah. This is my book that I wrote about messages from shells, about how they all started and yeah, what they do and yeah. Oh, that's funny. I can't find it.
For somebody listening into shells while walking on the seashore, it must get very noisy for you.
I used to make them used to make the essences on the seashore once, and it took an hour, at least 1 hour, and I'd almost finished making one. And this lady came up and said, "Oh, that's a lovely shell," and put her hand into the water and pulled out the shell. That's the last time I stayed on the seashore making shells. I now do it in the mangroves where no one will come around, apart from the little crabs and the birds.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, thank you. It's been such a beautiful time to share with you, talking about all of this. And
Yeah.
I do hope that you might jump on to other ones we're doing at lunchtime for the next 10 days upcoming.
Yeah.
And then we'll bring all the elders who've joined us for this series together again.
Yeah, if you can email me so that, yeah,
Yeah.
because I check my emails every day when I get them. Mhm.
Yes. I'll phone you to be safe.
Oh, you can phone me. That's better still. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But thank you so much for sharing with us. And we'll be putting this up onto the YouTube with links to Nancy's profile on SoulAdvisor and more information about Nancy. And we really thank everybody for coming and joining us in this Eldership series and giving gratitude to the elders that have held huge stories and huge ways forward with healing in this country. Lucky us. So tomorrow is Thursday. Is that true? Thursday the 8th. And we're really looking forward to, is it Thursday the 8th tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes, it is. That's great news. Okay. We'll be talking to Martine, who's here with us today as well. Hi, Martine. She's somewhere there.
No.
Oh, maybe she's.
Okay, sorry. Yes, I'm looking forward to a wonderful conversation. Thank you, Cate.
Yeah, that'll be great. So we'll see you at 12:30 tomorrow. And thank you, Nancy. I hope you have a lovely day out there. And
Thank you.
thanks, everyone.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Happy
I'm just
month.
sorry I can't find my little poem about shells for you, but anyway.
Oh, are you sure you don't want to try further? Because we're very happy to wait.
Oh, I don't know. I saw it this morning there, so I don't know why it's not there now. Obviously, it wasn't meant to be, perhaps. Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, don't you worry, because I'll forward, when you find it, you can tell me, ring me, and I'll
will do, yes.
forward it to everybody.
Okay. Yeah.
Great.
Oh. No idea. Sorry. Okay.
Drama.
It's hiding its head somewhere.
No trouble. All right. Well, thank you,
Okay.
everybody. Thank you, Nancy, for all you've done
you.
forever for all of us. And on we all roll.
Absolutely.
Bye all.
Oh, we roll and stroll.
Roll and stroll. I'm going to keep that one in mind. All right. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye. Bye.